I worked the night shift at a 7-Eleven. It was routine for me after 6 months. I liked the quiet. It was usually just me and the hum of the neon lights. The aisles were familiar, lined with snacks and drinks. Then one night, things changed. I was restocking chips when I glanced out the window. I saw a figure in the parking lot, standing still and staring at the store. I thought my eyes were playing tricks. When I looked again, it was gone. I shrugged it off as fatigue. The next week, a customer walked in. He grabbed a soda but never paid. I felt something was off, but maybe he just forgot. I was busy and didn't want to confront him. Then he vanished. I didn't see him leave the store. My heart raced. I felt uneasy but told myself it was just my imagination. Strange noises came from the back room after that. I heard whispers, but I couldn't make out the words. I didn't have the courage to check. The lights started flickering too, adding to the unsettling feeling. I wanted the night to end, but I still had hours left on my shift. Then I saw the figure again. It was lingering outside, just out of sight. I felt like it was studying me. I'd catch glimpses, but when I turned to look directly, it vanished. I found myself checking the window more often. I felt frustrated, confused. Was I really seeing things? More odd things happened. I placed a pack of gum on the counter, and seconds later it was gone. I swear I left it there. One moment I was alone, the next I felt eyes on me. I tried to brush it off. The stress from work was getting to me, I thought. A few weeks passed, and doubt crept in. I sat at the counter, heart racing, always peering out into the parking lot. Was the figure real? Was I losing it? I thought about telling Anna, my coworker, but I didn't want to sound crazy. The last straw was the loud bang from the back room. I froze. It was so loud my heart almost stopped. I stood slowly and moved toward the sound. My breath caught in my throat. Then I heard a whisper, low and drawn out. I asked, "Is anyone back there?" No answer. I turned around, and that's when I saw it. The figure stood just inside the door, watching me. I felt my blood run cold. I couldn't move. I just stared back. Then it smiled, a wide, slow grin, and vanished into thin air. What just happened? I backed away slowly. My eyes darted around, searching for signs of whatever that was. I felt dizzy, like the floor might give out beneath me. I didn't know what to do. Should I leave? Should I call someone? The door swung open hard, and in walked Anna. "Hey, you okay?" she asked. "Did you see?" I hesitated, but then I realized I was alone. The store was back to its usual silence, but I was anything but okay. At least it was just another night, right? I took a deep breath, trying to shake off the weirdness. Anna stood there, looking at me with concern. I wanted to tell her everything, but I hesitated. What if she thought I was losing it? "Yeah, I'm fine," I said, forcing a smile. We fell into our usual rhythm. She stocked the shelves while I manned the register. But my mind was elsewhere. Every shadow felt like a threat. I kept glancing at the door, expecting to see the figure again. The whisper lingered in my ears, echoing the fear I'd felt just minutes earlier. Around midnight, Anna went to the back to get more inventory. I was alone again, just me and the buzz of the fluorescent lights. I tried to focus on my phone, scrolling through social media to distract myself. But the unease was creeping back. Then it happened again. I caught movement from the corner of my eye. I looked up, and there it was, the figure. It stood at the edge of the parking lot, almost like it was waiting for me. My heart raced. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out. I blinked, and it was gone. Was it real? I felt a rush of anger mixed with fear. I didn't want to be afraid anymore. How could something that looked so human elude me so easily? I stood up and walked toward the window, determined to get a better look. I couldn't just ignore it. As I peered outside, the faint glow of a streetlight revealed a shadow slinking around the side of the building. I felt the hair on my arms stand up. I stepped back, heart pounding in my chest, and that's when I noticed something on the counter, a receipt I hadn't seen before. I picked it up. The store number was printed at the top. The date was last week. My hands shook as I read the items listed: snacks, drinks, and a pack of gum. My pack of gum. A chill ran through me. That wasn't all. There was a name scribbled in the corner: Evan. I dropped the receipt like it was on fire. Who was Evan? I didn't remember anyone named Evan coming in. I wanted to think it was a mistake, but something deep inside urged me to check the back. I glanced toward the door Anna had gone through. Still nothing. I took a cautious step toward the back room, feeling the weight of the air shift around me. I heard whispers again, faint but distinct. They were repeating a name: Evan. Fear gripping me, I opened the door. Hi. I stuttered into the darkness. Silence met me, but I sensed something was off. It felt as if the shadows were alive, twisting and moving in ways that made my skin prickle. Just then, a bag fell from a shelf, crashing to the floor with a loud thud. I jumped back. Before I could react, I heard a whisper clearly: "You shouldn't be here." I turned and ran back to the front, lungs burning. Anna was still gone. I felt the panic rising. I needed to get out. Then the door swung shut, the jingle of the bells cutting off my escape. I pressed my back against the counter, heart racing. All of a sudden, the lights flickered, and the power went out. The darkness swallowed me whole. "Anna?" I called out. No answer. Then I heard a voice behind me. "You're not supposed to be here." I gasped, the sound rushing out of me like a startled breath. My mind raced. Who was behind me? I turned slowly, trying to shake off the rising dread. "Is someone there?" My voice trembled. I wanted to sound brave, but it was hard. The darkness only seemed to deepen. "Leave," the voice instructed, cold and distant. I strained to see through the shadows, searching for any sign of movement. "You aren't safe." The tension was thick around me, and every instinct told me to run again. But this time, my feet felt glued to the floor. Instead, I forced myself to take a step forward, hands shaking. "Anna! Is that you?" No response. Then, out of nowhere, the lights flickered back on, flooding the store with harsh brightness. I squinted, momentarily blinded, and when my vision cleared, I expected to see nothing. The aisles were empty, just the way I had left them. My heart raced, confusion mixing with fear. Had I imagined the voice? Was it the result of my overactive mind? Still, I could feel the weight of someone watching me. I turned, scanning my surroundings. That's when I noticed the door to the back room was ajar. I hadn't opened it. Something pulled at me, urging me to investigate. I took a deep breath and moved toward it, compelled despite my better judgment. As I pushed the door open, it creaked eerily. The darkness loomed inside, but I felt strangely drawn in. I stepped over the threshold, the stale air swirling around me. My senses heightened. There were no shelves, but boxes piled high against the walls, now closed and silent. Then my gaze fell on something propped against one of the boxes, a jacket. A dark, worn jacket that looked familiar. It was Anna's. The memory hit me like a wave. I remembered her wearing it just days before, laughing and joking as we worked. "Anna?" I whispered anxiously. The store was quiet again, save for my pounding heart. My fingers grazed the fabric, and something slid from the pocket. I reached down and picked it up, a small, crumpled note. My pulse quickened as I unfolded it, revealing hasty scrawls, names, numbers, words I couldn't easily decipher. But then I saw it, Evan, again, repeated a few times. And beneath that, "Find him." Panic surged through me. Whatever was happening was deeper than I thought. I had to find Anna, needed answers. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from outside. The noise shattered the silence, making me jump. I bolted out of the back room, frantically searching for the source. Through the front windows, I thought I caught a glimpse of a figure standing at the edge of the lot. "Evan?" I yelled, my voice wavering. The figure turned and started walking toward me, its face hidden in shadow. A sense of dread wrapped around me. I wanted to run, to hide, but I was frozen. I had to know who Evan was, and why I was being haunted by whispers of him. Then everything went dark again. This time, I felt a rush of cold air press against my skin. I shouldn't be here, I whispered to myself, the weight of realization crashing in. I stood there, paralyzed by the sudden darkness. The silence was deafening, but the cold air still swirled around me, sending chills down my spine. I clenched the note in my hand, crumpling it even further as I fought to control my breathing. I was about to step backward, when I heard a soft rustling from the back room. I turned, heart pounding, more terrified than I had ever felt before. "Is someone there?" I called out again, but my voice came out more as a plea than a challenge. Just then, the lights flickered back on, and I squinted against the brightness, my eyes darting around the store. I looked toward the back room. The door now stood wide open. I hesitated, unsure if I should approach or flee. And then I saw it. A shadowy figure emerged from the back room, moving like a wisp of smoke. It was fleeting, but I was sure it hadn't just been my imagination. "Anna?" I whispered, edged with hope. But that faded quickly. If that was Anna, why was she hiding? I took a cautious step forward, trying to make sense of it all. The air felt heavy, and my instincts screamed at me to turn back. But I was determined. I needed to understand what was happening. I had to find Anna. Another loud bang came, this time from the front door. It rattled on its hinges. I jumped, eyes fixated on the entrance. I saw movement out of the corner of my eye, and my heart raced. "Evan!" I shouted again, my voice trembling. But the figure hadn't moved. Instead, it lingered, rooted to the spot just beyond the glass. I squinted, trying to see through the reflection. It was nearly impossible, but I could make out a familiar silhouette. My breath caught. "Is that really you?" I wondered aloud. "Why are you here?" The figure began to step closer, and I could finally decipher features sharp, angular, a face I had known so well. My heart surged, but uncertainty gnawed at my mind. Why was Evan outside? Was he in danger? Before I could process any of this, a thunderous crash erupted from the back room. Glass shattered, sending shards of light and panic across the room. I jumped, and instinct kicked in. I dashed toward the back, no more hesitation. Whatever was happening, I had to confront it. Yet as I reached the doorway, the chill enveloped me once more. It didn't just feel cold, it felt wrong. I pushed through the door and gasped. Where the piles of boxes once stood, there was now an open space bathed in unnatural light, flickering like an old film reel. And in the center, Anna was there. Her hair hung down, framing her face like a shroud. She looked fragile and lost, as if caught between two worlds. "Anna!" I cried, stepping forward with urgency. "I tried to warn you," she said softly, voice a mere whisper. "But you should have left." Suddenly, the flickering intensified, casting strange shadows that danced wildly around us. I felt my resolve wobble. What had I stepped into? And as the lights began to crackle, I realized I was no longer certain of my own safety. That's when everything went dark again. I blinked, trying to adjust to the darkness. Panic gripped me tighter, and I felt my breath quicken. "Anna?" I called out again, but received no reply. The silence felt like a weight pressing down on me. Then, a flicker of light returned, revealing Anna in the same spot. Her expression was distant, almost vacant. "What have you done?" she murmured, and a chill crept deeper into my bones. Before I could respond, a loud crash echoed from behind me. I spun around, heart racing, ready to face whatever lurked in the shadows. The room teetered on the edge of chaos, filled with a frantic energy I couldn't understand. Just then, I noticed something on the ground. Shattered glass glinted under the harsh overhead lights, reflecting bits of Anna's figure in a distorted way. I crouched to examine it, pieces of a broken display stand. But it wasn't just the stand. There was something else, hidden among the shards. With shaking hands, I reached out and picked up what looked like a small, twisted key. My mind raced as I examined it under the flickering lights. It was old, the surface scratched and worn. Could this key unlock the mystery of Anna? I had no idea. Anna, I said, my voice a trembling whisper. What is this? I turned to show her the key, but her eyes darted towards the back room, an unhinged doorway summoning dread. I can't stay here, she said, urgency creeping into her tone. If they find me. Her voice cracked, and I felt a surge of fear. They? Who are you talking about? I demanded, but she shook her head, terror etched into her features. I felt unmoored, my thoughts racing. I had barely processed her warning when a cold gust swept through the room, extinguishing the lights for a heartbeat before flickering back on faintly. But this time, the shadows around Anna shifted, taking on shapes that looked almost human. Anna! I reached for her, but she stepped backward, eyes widening. No! She yelled, panic vibrating in her voice. Don't you see? They're coming for you, too. I felt a sudden weight on my chest, a realization crashing over me. This place was a trap. I started to turn, to race back toward the front door, when an unearthly scream echoed from the back room. It was a sound that made every hair on my arm stand on end, a cry of absolute anguish. My heart raced as I hesitated, torn between the eerie whispers of the shadows and the urgent urge to escape. We have to go, I shouted back at Anna. But when I glanced at her, something changed. The look on her face was no longer one of fear, but of resignation. I can't. Her voice was barely audible, slowly fading within the chaos of sound. Just then, the door to the back room lurched open again, revealing a dark, swirling void. I didn't think my instincts kicked in. I lunged toward the door, the echoes of the screams still ringing in my ears, adrenaline surging. As I stepped into the void, I felt a grip around my wrist. I looked back, and Anna was there, pulled by an unseen force. No! I pleaded, reaching for her. But deep down, I knew I couldn't save her. I was about to slip away when everything went dark once more. I woke up gasping for air, the taste of fear lingering like a bitter aftertaste. My surroundings had shifted again. I was no longer in the dim room with Anna but lying on a cold, tiled floor. Blinking rapidly, I tried to gather my senses. The stark fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a sterile glow that only added to my confusion. Where am I? I whispered to no one, scanning the area. The walls were bare, and the air felt heavier, more oppressive. My head throbbed as fragments of the last moments with Anna replayed in my mind, the sound of her heart-wrenching scream, her desperate eyes reaching out for me. I shook my head, trying to dispel the images. Just then, I noticed the key still clutched in my hand. The twisted metal now felt like a lifeline, something that connected me to whatever this mess was. I shoved it into my pocket, hoping it might help me understand what was happening. It hit me then I wasn't alone. A figure lingered in the shadows, almost blending seamlessly with the dark corner of the room. I squinted, trying to see more clearly through the haze of my fear, when a pair of eyes flashed toward me. They glinted like a predator's. Who are you? I stammered, my voice barely above a whisper. The figure shifted, stepping into the light. It was a tall man with hollowed cheeks and an unsettling grin. I've been waiting, he said, his tones smooth and disarming. For you. Waiting for me? I backed away instinctively, my heart pounding. A deep, unsettling dread filled me. Yes, he said, tilting his head slightly. You hold the key, after all. My stomach dropped. This wasn't just some random coincidence. What do you know about Anna? I asked, my voice trembling. The man chuckled softly, a sound that sent chills down my spine. Oh, Anna is special. But you, my friend, have a role to play. I stumbled back, the hard towel biting into my feet. I won't play any role for you. Just let me go. He took a step closer, his eyes narrowing. That's the problem. You're already in the game. You think you can escape? There's no door to open, no way out. I felt the walls close in on me, panic rising again. I glanced toward the only exit, a narrow doorway on the far side of the room. Could I make a run for it? Then the lights flickered again, plunging us into darkness momentarily. I could hear him laughing, the sound echoing off the walls, mixing with my own desperate breaths. When the lights returned, he was closer, and behind him, shadows shifted, swirling in a way that felt alive. "Leave Anna behind, or you can join her," he offered, still that insidious smile plastered on his face. I could feel my chest tightening, the weight of his words suffocating. The sound of my heartbeat thundered in my ears as I took a step back toward the doorway, torn between saving myself and the risk of returning for Anna. That S when I saw it something scrawled on the wall behind him, barely visible under the flickering lights. A message, maybe? It looked like a warning, but it didn't make sense. I squinted, trying to decipher it, my heart racing with both fear and urgency. Before I could make out the words, the lights surged again, plunging everything into darkness once more. The darkness enveloped me, and for a moment, I couldn't move. My mind raced, drowning in uncertainty as a cascade of sounds echoed around me, hushed whispers, skitters against the floor, and the man's cold laughter still rattling in my ears. I needed to get out. The doorway was my only option. With adrenaline surging through my veins, I took a measured breath and bolted toward it, ignoring the clamoring thoughts urging me to look back. My feet pounded against the tiles, the coldness beneath me grounding my focus. But just as I reached the doorway, a strong hand grasped my arm, yanking me back. I stumbled, and the light flickered again, illuminating that unsettling grin mere inches from my face. "Did you really think it would be that easy?" he taunted. "You're not suited for escape. You belong to me now." His grip tightened, and a surge of panic clawed at my throat. "Let me go!" I shouted, but the words fell flat against his amused expression. "Why so eager to leave? You're about to discover everything you never wanted to know." And in that moment, I felt that the chilling presence that had lingered in the shadows shifted, feeling almost sentient. My instincts screamed at me to fight back, to break free. The lights flickered violently again, and this time, I didn't wait for them to stabilize. I twisted my body away from his grip, feeling the rush of air as I squeezed through the narrow doorway. I burst into an unfamiliar space, a long corridor lined with doors on each side. The atmosphere felt different. It was heavy but charged, like I had entered another layer of this nightmarish maze. I could hear footsteps behind me. My captor was close. I dashed down the hallway, hoping something might be a safe haven. Each door I passed looked identical, their dull metal handles glinting under the buzzing overhead lights. I stopped at the first door, grappling with the handle, praying it would magically open to freedom. But it held firm, trapped behind a lock. Then I heard a muffled cry. My heart sank. "Anna?" I called out, straining to listen. The sound of her voice flickered through the air, a chorus of muted fear and desperation that drew me toward its source. I had to find her. I took a deep breath and moved down the corridor, trying doors along the way. Each one was a dead end. The cries seemed to grow fainter, urging me to hurry. Suddenly, I noticed that one door at the end of the hall glowed with an unnatural light. It was different from the rest, almost pulsing. "Anna!" I yelled, racing toward it. I felt a surge of hope, but my feet faltered as I neared the door. An instinctual warning coursed through me, yet I couldn't stop now. Just as I reached for the handle, the corridor shook with a violent tremor. I stumbled backward, barely keeping my balance. What was happening? The laughter echoed down the hall, and I knew he was close. As I stood there, paralyzed by fear, I took one last glance down the corridor. The shadows were waiting, stretching and twisting ominously, and my stomach churned with the realization that I might not be able to save either of us. I had to make a choice. What lay behind the glowing door? I stepped toward it, the weight of my decision heavy in the air. The moment I touched the handle, a jolt of energy surged through me. The door swung open with a creak, revealing a room bathed in dim light. It was filled with strange objects, papers strewn across a table, flickering screens, and jars filled with unidentifiable substances that shimmered unnaturally. Anna? I called again, voice trembling. I stepped inside, the door clicking shut behind me. A cold sweat trickled down my back as I glanced around. The atmosphere felt thick, almost suffocating. Then I heard it again, the muffled cry that led me here. It wasn't just Anna anymore, it sounded different, fragmented. Panic surged as I scanned the room. Every instinct told me to retreat, but I couldn't leave her. Answer me, I demanded, desperation clawing at my throat. I moved deeper into the chaos, flipping through papers trying to find something, anything that made sense. My fingers brushed over hastily scribbled notes, filled with symbols and strange diagrams. Then, in the corner of the room, I saw a faint outline behind a curtain. My heart raced as I edged closer. Was that her? Anna! I whispered urgently, pulling back the fabric. What I found made my breath hitch. It was Anna, bound and unconscious. Panic erupted in my chest as I rushed to her side. I fumbled with the knots, my hands shaking as I tried to loosen them. I finally freed her wrists when an unsettling feeling seized me. The hairs on the back of my neck prickled, a presence was nearing. I turned slowly, the air thick with tension. There he was, the man from earlier, standing in the doorway, his grin wide enough to send shivers down my spine. You really thought you could save her? No! I shouted, pushing Anna away slightly, my body blocking her from view. Get away from us! His laughter cut through the air, chilling me to the bone. You think she's worth saving? You don't even know the truth about her. What do you mean? I stepped forward, more furious than afraid now. What have you done to her? He took a leisurely step inside, the glow from the machines behind him casting a distorted shadow. Let us just say she's part of something much bigger. You've stumbled into a world that you're not ready for. In that case, I'll get us out of here. I didn't know how, but I was determined. Anna stirred, groaning as she regained consciousness. Her eyes fluttered open, and for a moment I felt hope. But that flicker was quickly extinguished by the sinister smile spreading across the man's face. Run if you want, he said, but remember, this is only the beginning. Before I could respond, the ground shook again, more violently this time. I stumbled into Anna, knocking her off balance, and glanced at the door. Come on! We need to go! But as I turned, I realized the door was gone. The room distorted around us, new walls pushing in, unfamiliar sounds echoing as despair began creeping back in. Where are we? Anna rasped, glancing at me with wide, terrified eyes. Then everything went dark. I gasped as the darkness swallowed everything. It felt like I was falling not down, but sideways, as if the world had flipped on its axis. I reached out instinctively, grabbing onto something solid, though my surroundings felt ever-changing. Anna! I shouted into the void, panic surging through me. The cold, smooth surface beneath my fingers felt reassuring, a small anchor in the chaos. Suddenly, a faint light flickered to life nearby. It pulsed like a heartbeat, drawing me toward it. Where are you? I called again, desperation tightening my throat. As I moved closer, the light intensified, illuminating the space around me. To my shock, the scene shifted, morphing into the room we had just been in, but everything looked warped. Objects twisted at odd angles, colors bleeding into each other like a forgotten dream. Anna! I cried, my voice echoing strangely. I could see her figure outlined in the glow, still disoriented but struggling to sit up. Relief flooded through me. There you are, she said, her voice trembling. What happened? I don't know. I looked around, my heart racing. It's like we're trapped in some kind of nightmare. We need to find a way out. The man's last words echoed in my mind. This is only the beginning. I shuddered. We have to be careful. He might be trying to manipulate something here. As if on cue, the walls began to ripple, changing shape and color. A hollow laughter filled the room, the sound mocking and sinister. Dark shapes loomed at the edges of the light, moving closer. I felt a wave of dread wash over me. Anna, get behind me! I yelled, positioning myself before her as those shadows slithered into the brightness. What do you want? I yelled defiantly, but the only answer was a low hiss. Then, one of the shadows broke free, a figure stepping from the gloom. It looked like the man, but there was something off about him. His grin stretched unnaturally across his face, his eyes glinting in the light like shards of glass. "You're both so eager to escape," he sneered. "But do you really know what you're facing? What are you talking about?" I asked, inching closer to Anna, who stood silently beside me, terror etched on her face. "Anna is more than just a victim," he said, tilting his head. "She holds the keys to things beyond your understanding. And I'm here to help her unlock it all." "Help?" I scoffed, fists clenched. "You've done nothing but hurt her." A twisted smile crossed his face as he stepped closer. "Oh, the hurt is just the beginning. Once she embraces her true potential, you'll understand." I felt Anna's hand gripping my arm, her fingers trembling. "What are you saying?" she whispered, fear coursing through her voice. "That's for you to discover," the man replied, his grin widening. "But to do that, you must face the darkness you both so fear." Before I could respond, the ground quaked again violently. The walls closed in on us, and with them, shadows darted closer, reaching for us with icy fingers. "Anna! We have to forge our own way!" I shouted, but panic was setting in. Then I noticed something spark in the corner of my vision, a small box glowing eerily amidst the chaos. It was odd, distinct from everything else. "Wait," I said, pulling Anna toward it, "we need to see what that is." But as I moved forward, something icy brushed against my neck. I turned around, and my heart dropped. Something else was emerging from the dark, something much worse. "I hope you're ready for the truth," the man said, his laughter now echoing in a sickening crescendo. And then, it struck me. Whatever awaited us, it wouldn't just change our lives, it could obliterate them. I stumbled backward, my heart racing as shadows writhed around us like living nightmares. The man's laughter reverberated in the air, a haunting sound that sent chills racing along my spine. "Ready for the truth?" he taunted, his voice slithering through the chaos. Panic surged through me, but I realized we had no choice. "Anna!" I shouted, urging her to stay close. "We have to find that box." Together, we pushed toward the strange, glowing object that stood out against the darkness. Just a few steps away, I could see now that it was a small chest, adorned with intricate etchings that shimmered unnaturally in the low light. This was our chance, our only chance. As we reached it, the shadows surged forward, and I felt a prickling cold wash over me. "Open it!" I urged Anna, my voice frantic. I didn't know what lay inside, but whatever it was, it had to be better than this. With trembling hands, Anna lifted the lid. A radiant light exploded from the chest, momentarily illuminating the foreboding figures around us. I shielded my eyes for a moment, the brightness washing over me with warmth, but it only lasted an instant. When I dared to look again, the shadows recoiled, their forms cracking and warping under the light. But within the chest lay not just light, but also a collection of items, keys that glimmered and glowed with a vibrant energy, each one different. "Take one," I urged Anna, my mind racing. "We might have to use these to fight back." She hesitated, eyes darting from the keys to the menacing figure still lurking near the walls. "What if they only make things worse? Right now, anything is better than being trapped here," I insisted, grabbing one of the glowing keys, a small, twisted object that felt warm in my palm. With newfound urgency, Anna selected a key as well, her fingers brushing against another one that shimmered with a gentle blue hue. "What do we do now?" she asked, her voice a whisper, tinged with uncertainty. "Maybe we can use them to unlock something," I suggested, glancing around at the shifting darkness. Or maybe my voice trailed off as a plan started to form in my mind. "Maybe we can use them to break free from whatever he created." The man's laughter cut through my thoughts again, echoing like a thunderstorm. "You think those keys will save you? Hardly. You'll soon learn they lead to more questions than answers. But then again, the truth is a price you must pay." Before I could reply, the shadows charged forward, enveloping us. I could feel the cold seep into my bones, the instinct to flee clawing at my mind. But instead of running, I reached for Anna and stepped forward together, determined to confront whatever awaited us in the heart of this madness. "Let us find out what happens!" I yelled, thrusting my key toward the encroaching darkness. I barely registered the effect until a blast of light surged from the key, illuminating the space around us. An explosive burst radiated outward, scattering the shadows like shattered glass. "Now!" I shouted, eyes locked on the man, who was momentarily blinded. With our paths cleared, we sprinted toward the nearest doorway, determined to escape the madness. As I flung open the door, a rush of fresh air hit me. The scene blurred, and I suddenly found myself outside again, each spark of night sky filled with stars overhead. But the feeling of unease never truly subsided. "We made it out!" Anna exclaimed, though I didn't share her glee. All around us, the air felt charged, like an unhealed wound threatening to erupt. I knew we were free, but freedom did not guarantee safety. "We need to keep moving," I pressed, glancing back at the store. The shadows still lurked within, and that man's laughter echoed in the air, a reminder that the threat wasn't truly gone. "I can't leave without answers," Anna said suddenly, her expression fierce and determined. "I need to know who Evan is and why all of this happened." Fear gripped me again. "Anna," I started, but my voice faltered. I understood her desire. The questions loomed above us like storm clouds, relentless and looming. "Do you think the keys will help us? Maybe they can unlock the truth," she insisted, voicing my own thoughts. "We need to go back." My heart sank at the thought. I wanted to escape this nightmare, not dive deeper into it. But I couldn't deny the bond we shared or the need for understanding. "I don't know if we should," I hesitated, a wave of uncertainty crashing over me. But I saw the fire in her eyes, a fierce need for resolution that mirrored my own. In that moment, I realized she was right. There would always be questions, and I would never find peace until we sought answers. Together, we had to face whatever awaited us behind that door. Taking a deep breath, we turned and walked back into the darkness, keys gripped firmly in our hands, ready to confront the unknown. And as we stepped through, I couldn't shake the feeling that our journey was only just beginning.